Hey there, welcome to Fact Pop. Today we're going to be going over 5 fun facts about famous brands from Coca-Cola to Nike to Apple and more. So let's get started. Fact number 1. Coca-Cola was originally made as medicine. This is probably one of the most shocking facts on this list. In 1886, John Stith Pemberton, an Atlanta pharmacist, created a syrup that he called Coca-Cola as a patent medicine. This means that it was meant to cure illnesses or treat medical conditions. He mixed together extracts from coca leaves, cola nuts, and other ingredients, including cocaine and caffeine. That's right, cocaine. Back then, cocaine was not considered a dangerous drug and was actually widely used as a pain reliever and stimulant. However, after several deaths from cocaine overdoses, the FDA banned the sale of cocaine over the counter, and thus Coca-Cola had to remove the ingredient from its recipe. The syrup was sold at soda fountains in drugstores, which back in the day also sold things like magazines, newspapers, and tobacco. It wasn't until later that Coca-Cola began to be bottled and sold as a carbonated beverage. Can you imagine going to the store and buying medicine as a soda? Well, I guess in a way you still can if you buy Coke. Fact number 2. Apple started in a garage with just $1,300. As you may have heard before, Apple Computer Inc. was founded by Steve Jobs, Steve Wozniak, and Steve Gassinger in Jobs' parents' garage in Los Altos, California. What you may not have known is that their total startup costs were only $1,300. They started building computers together as a hobby, and then they realized that they could turn their hobby into a business. With only $1,300, they built their first computer, the Apple I, and sold it for $66.66. Not only were they able to make a profit from the sale of the computer, but they were also able to use the money to build their second computer, the Apple II, which would go on to become one of the most successful personal computers of all time. This just goes to show that you don't need a lot of money to start a successful business. All you need is a great idea and a lot of hard work. If you want to learn more about how Apple got started, check out our video on the top 10 facts about Apple. Fact number 3. Nike's logo was designed for only $35. When Phil Knight, the founder of Nike, approached graphic designer Rob Janoff to design a logo for his new shoe company, he didn't have much to go on. All he had was the name of the company, Nike, and the idea that it should look fast. Janoff ended up creating the now iconic Nike logo for only $35. At the time, Janoff was running his own graphic design studio and had never designed a logo for a major corporation. When he first met with Knight, he was initially turned off by Knight's arrogance and corporate attitude. However, he was intrigued by the challenge of designing a logo for a company that was supposed to be all about speed. Janoff ended up creating several different concepts for the logo, but the one that Knight liked the most was the simplest one, just a check mark made out of 2 overlapping stripes. Janoff was paid $35 for his work and given 500 shares of Nike stock. At the time, this was worth about $1,375. And when Nike went public in 1980, Janoff's stake was worth over $1 million. So even though he didn't get rich from the initial sale of the logo, he did end up making a lot of money from his investment in the company. Do you think $35 is a fair price to pay for such an iconic logo? Let us know in the comments below. Fact number 4. Google was almost called Backrub. In the late 90s, 2 Stanford students named Larry Page and Sergey Brin were working on a research project that would eventually become Google. At the time, the internet was becoming more and more popular, but it was also becoming more and more crowded. With all of these websites starting to pop up, it was becoming harder and harder to find the good ones. Page and Brin's goal was to create a search engine that would make it easier for people to find the best websites. They developed an algorithm that they called Backrub, which was a play on the word backlink. Backlinks are links that point back to a website, and they are a way of measuring a website's popularity. The more backlinks a website has, the more popular it is. Page and Brin's algorithm was able to take all of these backlinks into account, and it was able to produce some pretty amazing results. People were able to find exactly what they were looking for, and they were able to do it quickly. Page and Brin were so happy with their creation that they decided to launch it as a commercial service. They needed a name for the company, and they wanted something that reflected their algorithm. So they decided to call it Back Rub. However, they soon realized that this was not a very professional name, and besides, there was already a software company called Back Rub. So they dropped the space and came up with a new name, Google. The rest is history. Now every time you use Google, just remember that it could have been called Back Rub. Fact number 5. Starbucks round tables were designed to make solo customers feel less lonely. Have you ever sat down at a Starbucks to get some work done or have a cup of coffee and people watch? You may have noticed that the tables are always in a circle. This is no accident. The circular shape of the tables is designed to make solo customers feel less lonely. Of course, we all love a good conspiracy theory as much as the next person, but we're pretty sure that this is just a coincidence. But we couldn't help but wonder if there is a deeper meaning behind the circular tables at Starbucks. So we did a little bit of research, and it turns out that there is. When Howard Schultz became CEO of Starbucks in 1987, he set out to transform the company from a regional chain into a national one. He wanted to create an environment where people could come in and feel like they belonged, whether they were meeting friends, having a business meeting, or just getting a quick cup of coffee. He knew that one of the ways he could achieve this was by creating a sense of community in his stores. One of the ways he did this was by introducing circular tables. Circular tables encourage conversation and community. They make people feel like they are part of a group. In fact, there is a whole field of study dedicated to the psychology of furniture and how it affects the way we interact with each other. According to the experts, circular tables promote teamwork and collaboration. They also make people feel more included and less isolated. We think that's why Starbucks has so many loyal customers. They feel like they are part of a community. So the next time you're at Starbucks, take a look around. You'll notice that most of the tables are in a circle. And you'll also notice that most of the customers are happy and relaxed. That's because Starbucks has created an environment where people feel like they belong. Well, that's it for today. We hope you learned something new and we hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, don't forget to give us a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel so you never miss another one of our videos. Thanks for watching.